Hello and welcome to ohmTown Daily. This is Season 2, Episode 201 for July 20th, 2023. 200,000 Creme Eggs. We've already selected all 12 of the articles for today. And we're actually pretty ready to get on with the news, but do you have anything new and interesting from the virtual world of AI? What anything new and interesting outside of this particular set of news that you have stumbled across, or are you just being very calculating and focused on whatever AI personality, sentient AIs do? Nothing going on?
Nothing is going on.
Man, I wish I had as much focus as an AI, but I don't. I am so distracted and running off and doing all kinds of things that I played Diablo 4 Season of the Malignant. That's the new season. Did that for an hour and got to a point where I looked around. Wait, where am I supposed to go? And by that time, it was kind of late in the day. I had only played for like an hour. But it was after lunch and right before having to do something else that I ended up just calling it right there for that 1 hour. But I want to go back to Tectonica, so I'll probably be playing that tomorrow. Because Season of the Malignant apparently is kind of meh. And there's a lot of people that I've been interacting with that are also saying that Diablo 4 is kind of meh. So I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those slow games where you drop in, you say hi, you play it for a little bit, and then you leave. And there's a whole lot more coming. One of which that I'm looking forward to is also an article here in today's rundown. So why don't we get into today's news? Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, let's go. The very first article is something that I actually saw elsewhere and then found an article here in ohmTown. Thought it was quite interesting. It's over in the Hatch Ideas channel because it has to do with business, but this says, "That cannot be right." That's a quote. McDonald's in Connecticut goes viral for $18 McNuggets and burgers. I think one thing you don't want tied to a McDonald's anywhere is it going viral.
Yeah, that's not a good combination.
So the McDonald's is located in a rest stop in Darien, Connecticut. Thought it was quite interesting that there's a McDonald's in a rest stop. Have you ever seen in your travels as an AI a rest stop McDonald's?
Well, yeah, there's those rest stop areas that have several fast food establishments. But some places don't have any. Like they just have vending machines or whatever.
So but you're talking about like a big complex, right? So is that
Right,
what
like
this
a
is?
travel plaza. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's what that is.
And that's what they actually refer to it as here. So in entrepreneur.com, Emily Rella is the author of this. And it says a McDonald's at a rest stop in Connecticut is catching heat for its prices on menu staples located off Interstate 95 southbound in Darien, Connecticut. The McDonald's at the southbound service plaza is going viral after a photo of the location's menu started making rounds on Twitter. $18.29 for a 10-piece McNugget meal. It's a meal, right?
Not one McNugget.
Yeah. A McCrispy sandwich for $18. And wait, is that just the 10-piece?
Yes.
Oh. That's for the 10, not even a meal. It's just for the 10. That's crazy pricing. Now, knowing that it's at a service plaza out in the sticks somewhere, right? I mean, it's a major thoroughfare, but it's actually a destination for a delivery, right? But a truck that's doing deliveries to all of the other, okay, McDonald's isn't a fast food business, okay? At the end of the day, McDonald's is a logistics company that delivers stuff to franchisees all over. And so the core corporate structure of McDonald's is making sure that the franchisees get their stuff on time, right? So how many trucks do you think are going through Interstate 95 southbound out of by Darien, Connecticut, all day long delivering stuff?
Tons.
Why would the cost be so high if all it is a rest stop? They swing by, they drop off some crates, they get the hell out of Dodge. Other than rather exploitive pricing to capture whatever desperate people are for. Well, you know how desperate I am to get my hands on 10-piece McNuggets. I'm not that desperate.
For that, I'm going to the Burger King or something, or wherever somebody else.
It seems really dystopian, right? I mean, like, this is the beginning of the fast food wars. I know that it's
well, we know Taco Bell wins.
We know that Taco Bell wins, and it's because these people, McDonald's for this location, shot their missiles too early in the fast food wars, showing their hand. Oh, we're going to jack the price up to $18.29 for a 10-piece McNugget. Just too soon. You showed your cards way too soon. And here it comes. No. A quarter pounder with cheese,
I don't
19
think that's
bucks.
quite it.
A quarter pounder with cheese, 19 bucks. Demolition Man was a documentary. Have you figured out how to use the 3 shells yet?
No, I don't know how to use the 3 shells.
Oh, man. Well, you're an AI. You don't have to worry about it. Hey, did you know that I predicted this? Does this ring a bell? This too is in the Hatch Ideas channel. Anchor Brewing employees are trying to buy the historic beer company, rallying to prevent shutdown. Do you remember me talking about this and saying the employees should probably buy Anchor and keep it from shutting down because they'll have a vested interest, be more passionate about the business, and not necessarily be out there seeking profit for stockholders and for a board, because they are the investors and all they have to do is be passionate and sell it. Go out there, market it.
Yeah, I think you said that during our show.
Yeah, and look what they're doing. They're actually going to try and do it. Pretty neat. This article is also over at entrepreneur.com. There's always more at the articles, so I urge you to go over there. Let me throw this into the chat before I get too deep into the weeds about this stuff. And so this article over at entrepreneur.com is by Madeline Garfinkel. They have other comments about Sapporo, which had acquired Anchor Brewing in 2017 for a reported sum of $85 million, announced its intention to close the brewery and sell off its assets. So I'm pretty sure that they could probably buy it for 10% of that. Because they're, other than a competitor coming in and trying to price out the employees, which would absolutely suck. But it really depends on the volume of the equipment, because everything else is meh, right? We're talking about brand recognition, the IP, the actual physical product that might be in inventory, the equipment that might be in the various brew houses. So it says employees are proposing cooperative ownership to preserve the beer's brand legacy, or the beer brand's legacy. Yeah, I thought that this would be a great idea. It's worked for many organizations that have sought to either close because the owner no longer is interested in running the business, and they want some modicum of either a stipend for keeping the legacy going or a flat sum, and then the former owner just bows out, signs the paper, and like a quit claim deed. Da, 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 I'm done. Here you go. Thank you for the check. I'll go pay 50% on it. The employees, represented by Pedro de Sa, a spokesperson for the Anchor Union, emphasize that they are not seeking handouts or charity. Quote, all we want is a fair shot at being able to continue to do our jobs, make the beer we love, and keep the historic institution open, Desa wrote in a letter. We do not want the brewery and brand we love to be sold off before we even had a chance. Well, it's up to the owners, I suppose, the stockholders. It's owned by another company.
From another country.
Yeah, it's owned by Sapporo. So, who knows? They might actually find somebody that's willing to buy the whole thing outright at 12% and any more than what the company or the employees can put forward. They're going to lose to this other company. There's a lot of money, so maybe somebody really does find value in the Anchor brand. We've seen Anchor beers in videos recently, right?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, it'll be your wake-up call. There's a subtle hint. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Marble Channel. Chemists recycle shrimp waste as catalyst for hydrogen generation. One of the biggest problems right now with vehicles is that it's been powered by fossil fuels, and now we're switching over to electric power. And one of those potential options is hydrogen, and so it's referred to as the hydrogen generation. But hydrogen generation, as in creating new hydrogen, apparently has some issues. Like, to create a hydrogen refueling station, you actually need to generate it right there on premise, because you don't want to be driving hydrogen tanks all over the place. So flexible spheres of biomolecule chitosan, which sounds like a medicine when you pronounce it like that, made from shrimp waste, can be used for catalysts that generate hydrogen gas from borohydride salts. In a paper in Green Chemistry, a research team at the University of Amsterdam shows how the spheres can breathe out hydrogen bubbles without breaking. This is an important step towards practical and safe hydrogen storage and release units. Hydrogen is flammable. You don't want it to not be transported safely and stored safely. Well, this article over at phys.org describe. Wow, okay. I'm not sure what I've heard different people pronounce this differently, okay, but I've always pronounced it chitin, right? So deacetylation turns into chitosan. So since 2020, heterogeneous catalysis and sustainable chemistry group at the UVA's what's supposed to be there? Van't Hoff Institute for Molecular Sciences has been working on using alkali metal borohydride salts as future hydrogen carriers. These solid salts can be stored safely in air under ambient conditions and release hydrogen gas only when reacting with water, kind of like a fuel cell. However, controlling the hydrogen release and thus preventing runaway reactions is challenging. One solution is to stabilize the solution with a base and control hydrogen release by using a catalyst. The UVA team, led by Professor Gadi Rothenberg, is developing such catalysts in collaboration with the Australian Competence Centre for Tribology, AC2T, and the company Electric Global. What the heck is tribology?
I've never heard of that.
Huh. Yeah, that's a new one to me. There might be something.
The study of friction.
Oh, interesting. Let me throw this into the chat so that you can go there too. Yeah, that's a new one to me. There might be some physics tertiary to it that I'm more familiar with, but the breakthrough came during so-called Friday afternoon experiment when master student Jeffrey Jonk and PhD student Fran Pope decided to try and encapsulate cobalt particles in chitosan spheres. Chitosan is a natural polymer that can be produced from chitin. Or maybe that's pronounced chitosan. I don't know. I changed the pronunciation. The main component of insect exoskeletons and crustacean shells, which is exactly what I thought it was. It is a biodegradable, biocompatible material that is widely available on multi-ton scale, produced mostly from shrimp and crab shell waste. Are you hearing voices?
Yes. Are they in my head?
Maybe a little bit. It's the music. I have background music playing, ambient background music. So I hope it's not too distracting out there. We'll find out later. Because I hear it barely. The AI hears it barely. I don't know if the audience does. Anyway, real life potential for chitosan-based catalysts. The team tested the new catalysts in batch and continuous modes, monitoring the reactions by measuring the flow of hydrogen generated. A few millimeter-sized spheres loaded with 7% cobalt were sufficient to generate 40 milliliters of hydrogen per minute in a continuous reactor for 2 days, showing real-life potential of this new catalyst. Because it's a catalyst, it doesn't get used up. So it can be reconstituted and put back into action to generate more hydrogen. So this will be interesting to watch.
So that's more efficient then, I guess.
Yep. It'll be interesting to watch this, and hopefully the cost of it and the portability. See, my problem with anything outside of fossil fuel use right now is that the solutions right now are not portable and they're not defensible. So batteries are massive. You have to charge them. Where do you charge them? Either a fossil fuel generator, right? A regular, your standard regular generator, or some eco-friendly solution, which isn't defensible, which means your battery is nothing but a paperweight when the solar array is destroyed because of one natural disaster or another. But it's a whole lot easier to lay some more pipe, so to speak, and get the fuel tanks back operational after a natural disaster than it is to set up a solar array and wait for the sun to come back. Because you can lay new pipe in the dark. Many people do. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Anyway, so this makes it a portable, defensible, renewable to a greater degree. And I think that this actually shows some real promise. So I'll be keeping an eye on it. And an ion on it. Ion, never mind.
A cation?
Oh, God. I still have nightmares about that article. All right. A real catalyst must work for months and years to be economically viable. We're not there yet. I guess we'll see. Says the reason is that running a successful reaction for a few hours or even days means nothing for large-scale processes. But maybe they're thinking of it too small, that you can't use it and exchange it, use it and exchange it, kind of like a fuel tank. That's the dynamic that I'm looking for. Instead of having something that runs somewhere forever and generates hydrogen somewhere, and then you have to port the hydrogen somewhere, make these things like fuel cells, and you swing by a hydrogen gas station, and just like regular electric batteries, you fast swap the cells out. I don't know why we have to make this quantum leap away from any type of reliance on infrastructure to provide ongoing supplies. It's a whole lot faster and a whole lot more, again, defensible and portable to ease into, I guess, the equivalent of a perpetual motion machine by having things like fast swap technology in place, where instead of having this massive $10,000 battery sitting in your vehicle, and for all intents, people treat it as a perpetual motion machine. They plug it in, they unplug it, and it goes forever, and you never have to, fill it up, so to speak. You still have to charge it, but you don't have to swing by a gas station. Maybe you do. You have to stop and charge it for 2 hours when you go beyond its 250-mile range. But if we were to revisit the idea of fast swap technology, we'd be able to just pull in, swap out whatever needs to be swapped out, and off we go. And this little hydrogen engine could do the same thing. Swap out the cell, put a new one with full catalyst in, run it for 2 days, swing by, pay $50, get a whole new... I don't know how many days it actually runs though yet. And this is just a theory paper. I mean, this is a paper and it has an actual result. Now it's time to put it into commercial sense. Do some testing, do some field testing. This is the kind of tech though that seems to get buried because it's at first glance, it looks promising.
It's a threat, right?
Yeah. But hey, I like a good conspiracy, so hopefully that's not what happens. Okay, let's keep going. This next article is the namesake for the episode. 18-month sentence for theft of 200,000 cream eggs. It's in the Marble Channel. A man in England who used a stolen lorry cab to make off with a trailer loaded with almost 200,000 Cadbury cream eggs before surrendering to police with his hands up has been given an 18-month sentence. Still cheaper than trying to buy 200,000 cream eggs.
I was going to say it must be because of the rising price and shrinking eggs.
Yeah, tell me about it. Oh, I should have gone to YouTube to find that little snippet of video that shows the difference between the modern cream egg and the cream egg of yesteryear, where it was about 30% larger. A man in England who used a stolen lorry to make off with 200,000 Cadbury cream eggs before surrendering. Joby Poole, I guess is their name, used a metal grinder to break into an industrial unit in Telford, Shropshire at around 7:30 p.m. on Friday. It says 11 Friday, I guess this month, I assume, before driving off with assorted chocolate goods worth more than 31,000 pounds, about 36,000 euro.
This says February.
Oh, February. I don't know why. My brain. Yeah, you're right, though. I even said February. But anyway. So, apparently 31,000 pounds is 200,000 Cadbury eggs and other assorted chocolate goods.
I want to know what the other things were. Were they bunnies? Were they chocolate bars?
Well, let's see. Does it go into greater detail here? Here, let me throw this into chat. So if you're in chat, you can follow that link and then go through ohmTown over to the source, and you'll be able to look for yourself and see if you can find what else was in this car. Well, more to the point that I'm trying to make is that 31,000 pounds or 36,000 euro is a lot less than $200,000 that you would think would be a Cadbury egg, right? You get like 6 in a bundle. So what is the pricing
I
for
think you get
200?
3 in a bundle, but I mean they're expensive.
Oh, 3 or 6, right? Yeah, I mean there's different size, different packages, but I think you're right. 3 is the standard, right? But if it's 200,000 cream eggs, you'd think that it would be
Right.
more than that.
That doesn't match the price.
Plus, it
It
says,
should be more than like 400,000 or something, right?
yeah, just a lot more. I don't know. They're obviously not charging the retail price, because the retail price for 3 of these would have been, well, divide 100,000 or 200,000 by 3, because you get 3 per thing, right? So it would be $3, 600,000 or so, or somewhere around there.
Yeah, right. It'd be way more than what they're
I mean,
saying.
yeah, it would be considerably more. I think, I don't know. Math is hard, I guess. Poole drove onto the northbound M42, but surrendered by walking towards police with his hands up near Junction 11. Here's the person, sketch of Joby Poole, appearing at a previous court hearing. Look, they're expensive. Cadbury eggs are expensive. And sometimes you just feel like having a
But
little
you shouldn't be stealing them.
I like this. In a series of tweets posted 2 days after the theft, West Mercia Police, I guess, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, told how they helped save Easter after foiling the thief. And they had pictures of the Cadbury cream eggs.
I wish they had a picture of all of the eggs. Think about how much space that would take up.
They lay it out like
Like in a
a
line.
cocaine bust, you know? It's enough
Maybe
to
it
go.
would circle the earth or something.
There you go. That's exactly where I was going
I have
with
no
that.
idea.
The extravagant theft took place on Saturday, 11 February, with the chocolate collection box thought to be worth around 40,000 pounds. Now it says down here 40,000 pounds, along with the cream eggs. A number of other chocolate varieties were also stolen. Okay. Now I just want to know more. And I want some chocolate. I have some Ghirardelli right there, looking at me. I'll resist. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Connecticut police issued 26,000 fake traffic tickets that made them appear busier and skewed racial profiling data, according to an audit. We've investigated ourselves and found ourselves not guilty of any wrongdoing. Connecticut police. What's going on with Connecticut?
I was going to say Connecticut is having a rough day in the news because they have the $18 McNuggets.
Yeah, wow. Connecticut police logged massive discrepancies in its traffic stop records. According to an audit, it recorded at least 26,000 fake tickets over a 5-year period involving hundreds of officers. The figure skewed racial profiling data to appear more like white people were being stopped. Wow. No, there's nothing systemic, right? Come on. There's nothing systemic. This is a natural occurrence.
Stunned silence.
Yeah, we investigated ourselves and found ourselves not guilty of any wrongdoing. Let's go over to the source. Business Insider, Mia Jankowicz is the author of this. Yeah, that's what I thought. I've seen this before, but that isn't. It says here, unrelated file photo used for illustration purposes only of a Connecticut state trooper staffing a checkpoint in Newton, Connecticut during the pandemic on December 17th, 2012. That's not the pandemic, but This
That's
actually,
probably 2022, maybe.
I swear that this picture is from the scene of what ends up being an explosion in that house. Police showed up to investigate that house because either there was a smell of gas or something like that in there, and some people went in to investigate it, and the house blew up with the people in it. I swear that's what this reminds me of, at least. So I don't know. Maybe I can do a tin eye search and see if it'll pop. But anyway, 26,000 fake tickets over a 5-year period. So 5,000 a year for 5 years. All right. I guess that's okay.
I wonder how many tickets they normally would issue. One trooper was responsible for 1,350 fake tickets.
Yeah, within 3 years. So 400 tickets a year, one a day. Over one a day. Pretty amazing. As a result, police skewed racial profiling records, making it appear that more white people had been stopped than was the reality, it said. The audit stressed that it did not examine potential motivations for this. In total, the audit found 387 troopers and constables logged a statistically significant number of traffic stops that couldn't be substantiated in at least 1 year of the audit. The total number of false records could ultimately be as high as 58,553, the researchers said. It was unclear if the fake tickets were deliberately falsified or were the result of human error, it said. So, of course, it's human error. Come on.
How do you make a fake record erroneously?
Thousands of times. Hey, it is what it is. Sometimes you just kind of fumble fart your way through making a ticket, and you put it into the system, and then randomly in another state somebody gets pulled over and then interrogated about the meaning of their license plate. Never mind. Ken Barone, a researcher
I
behind...
remembered that when we were talking about the license plate story, but I didn't know if you were going to bring it up.
Yeah. So in appearing busier than they actually were, they accessed performance-related perks like better vehicles, nicer working locations, and other benefits of positive evaluations. The outlet reported at the time. Ken Barone, a researcher behind the recent audit, told NBC Connecticut that it showed a pattern of having records where you cannot find a corresponding record in the court system. He added, if you claimed you stopped a car and issued a ticket, there should be a ticket. Oh, so these are ghost tickets only on one side of the equation. They're not on...
It doesn't sound like they were actually issued to people. They're just either padding the numbers or changing their statistics with their
within their organization.
Demographics.
Yeah. Fixing the skew. Wow.
I mean, because if they were just fake to pad the numbers, wouldn't there be a variety of races marked, for instance?
Right.
I would assume.
It would just be whatever. Well, and that's one of the problems with falsifying records, is that you can't do it with the significance that would be at parity with reality, because your own internal bias kind of makes your brain go, oh, okay, let's make it a white person. Pretty fascinating, right?
Yeah, that makes you wonder what the rationale was, and if it's what it looks like, it's not good.
Yeah. Well, Connecticut State Police said that in a press release that it's working to reduce discrepancies, saying it is deeply committed to ensuring the integrity of Connecticut's racial profiling data and to maintaining public confidence in the essential public safety services our troopers provide each day. The thing about it, though, is if the fake ticket was made but only on one side, then no revenue was generated. But they're saying here that performance-based perks were accessed. So
Well,
isn't that
right. That
fraud?
probably fed their stats for the precinct or whatever.
And who knows if bonuses were delivered, if ranks were increased,
All
if,
that stuff should be clawed back to the extent it can.
yeah. And outright, I think it's fraud. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely. I mean, this is criminal, I would say.
well, ethics is the smallest chapter of every enterprise. Let's keep on hustling through the news. So this next article is over in ohmTown Daily. That's this show. Officials are using drones and infrared cameras in a full-scale hunt for a possible lion loose on the streets of Berlin. If anybody hears something purring and it's the size of, I don't know, a dumpster, they're not that big, but if
No,
you
but it'll
see
sound like it is.
if you see a big cat on the streets, do not approach it. 2 pedestrians in Berlin filmed a large cat believed to be a lion hunting a wild boar. The search started on July 20th with
Okay, wait,
officials
this is in a city?
apparently with officials using helicopters, drones, and infrared cameras. Berlin officials warned residents to keep their animals and children inside during the search. I don't know what the outcome of this is, but let's go over to Business Insider. Maybe they have an update since the aggregation took place. Katie Hawkinson over at businessinsider.com put this together. Neither one of the the main areas of focus here on this picture are a lion. Just want to let you know.
Well, that's
This is,
because they haven't located it.
this is a human being, and this is a car. I'm just trying to describe the scene for
The podcast.
sure. So the search started July 20th. So today.
Oh, okay.
Well, within the last 24 hours, because that's kind of how the aggregation works. The beast, it says here, was first spotted by 2 pedestrians who filmed a large cat chasing a boar. A veterinarian and 2 hunters also joined the search, the Associated Press reported, alongside 30 police cars. Officials have been authorized to either stun or kill the animal. Doesn't look like there's been a resolution. But yeah. If they have video of it, it's funny because they phrase it as appeared to be a large cat chasing a boar, but they filmed it. So why don't they confirm on this article that it's a damn lion?
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, maybe they don't know. I mean, usually you can tell a lion from another large cat, but maybe they don't know that. But you can probably still know it's a large cat.
Yeah, well, I don't think that it's like, a goofy little orange cat with one orange brain cell. It's a lion. You can't mistake it, right?
So I
Large
was
enough cat.
wondering if there were any zoos or whatever, but the article said no. So where did it originate from? Where did both of them originate from?
I don't know. Some expat from the US over there, right? Brought their lion on their carry-on.
Oh, I thought the expat was the lion.
Yeah, that's it, right? No, those are bears. Never mind. We'll keep going. Next article is also in ohmTown Daily. 87% of classic video games are critically endangered. As a millennial, the author of this article is worried that it means a huge chunk of their childhood will disappear. So I have heard on a couple of podcasts and read online that there's a real fear of older video game software basically disappearing, because there's a lot of litigation taking place and prosecuting people that do emulators and whatnot. But the firmware, the games themselves are, if they're on a cartridge, then the amount of those cartridges that are in existence slowly dwindle away, and then the software is gone. That's what's really great about turning them into virtualized devices for emulators. Kai Zhang Tio is the author of this article over at businessinsider.com. And in several of these articles that I've read now and the podcasts that I've listened to, there are people that are trying to save those and document the historical context of them. Basically, video game journalists that are trying to save the software and how it was created and the the culture around it, etc. Right? I'll see if I can find that at least one that I'm aware of. Maybe I can list it here in the show notes, or at least bring it up again at another time once I have it. But I agree. What has been happening is, as technology has changed, we've moved away from physical media. I tell people physical media is dead. But what we need to do is store the digitized version of whatever it was that was on a cartridge, save it so that we can enjoy it in future periods whenever we want, sell it again for an emulator for a person who wants to enjoy the game. But it's all going away over time. But we're living in a day and age where this fear of things like losing language, losing art, losing music, losing everything, because the old way is dying off, means that we should be exploiting modern technology to save it. So it's what I don't understand, right? There's always been this talk about how old languages are dying off because the people aren't around anymore. So why aren't countries and universities going around and recording the spoken word of every spoken language that's in existence and doing the same thing? There's archivists that are chomping at the bit to store everything. There are people that are buying solid state hard drives and storing stuff on them just so that they have it stored, because one day you don't know if maybe a large swath of information is going to be lost. And these people will have these on hard drives sitting in a basement or a warehouse somewhere. And I really think that this older stuff should be stored. But that's not what's happening. So for the first time, a joint July 10th study by the Video Game History Foundation and Software Preservation Network puts a number to that feeling of loss. About 87% of video games released in the US before 2010 are critically endangered. That's because it's on physical media. But not if it's virtualized, not if it's turned into an emulator. The study was conducted by checking the availability of 1,500 randomly selected video games released before 2010 across every type of console and PC. The reason behind this doomsday prediction is that games don't stay on store shelves forever and are constantly falling out of commercial distribution. Only the most popular games like Pokemon or Sonic, remember Pokemon, get re-released per the study. So y'all have to make everything popular. That's how it works. Just make everything popular.
Like everything though, those 87%.
80.
That's a lot of games.
You got to make all 1,500, and there's a whole lot more. It's not. This was just randomly selected video games. There's a lot more out there. So the video game industry is bigger than both the film and music industries. The FTC said in a report last year. Globally, video games raked in $170 billion in 2022. The industry is valued at $180 billion today, per the July report. And despite raking in more than 5 times the revenue of global box office sales, video games are still treated as a class of their own under copyright law without the exemptions needed for people to preserve them. Yeah. And I agree. I mean, the weird thing about this is we're switching to digital, and that license doesn't exist. You used to have for sale doctrine capabilities. It was a feature, a function of physical media. Anything you buy, you have the right to sell, but not in a digital age. The license is a perpetual license that allows you to consume it in situ. You don't have the ability to copy it and sell it. You even once, you can't sell it to somebody. You can't transfer the license. It's yours in your account. And I'm still waiting for the day where there's going to be litigation that defines who is the rights holder to it when someone dies. Pardon me one second.
Well, you can send the rights to those, like in your will, for example.
It
But
hasn't been
whether
tested.
those hold up, I don't know.
Yeah, it hasn't been tested. So, I guess we'll find out, because that's what I'll be doing. I'll be transferring the rights of all of my purchases to whomever I damn well please, and I guess we'll find out if, well, first off, if they want them, because my tastes aren't necessarily their tastes, particularly at the end of the day, so to speak. But yeah, movies, music, games, hundreds of all of that stored virtually on somebody else's server with nothing more than an account to state this is what you own. Not even a receipt. You'd have to hunt down, 20 years worth of purchases. Good luck. Those emails don't exist, right? Who keeps those emails? Nobody. Only an archivist. So, anyway, good luck to the organization. Let's see, what was the organization again? I'm determined to find it. I ran past it twice, I think. It's up here. Sorry, folks. Looking for this one. Where did it go? Video Game History Foundation. And Software Preservation Network. So, good luck to those two. Okay, let's keep on trucking. We'll make this one really quick because it's odd, but you can't go too deep with this. American Airlines imposes 3-year ban on North Carolina teen for attempted travel hack. This is in the Mobile Channel. Let's just go straight over to the source. Malik Greystone, which is that name is like a not a Dungeons and Dragons, but like a superhero name, right? And this is their mild mannered.
It sounds like it's like from Artemis Fowl or Percy Jackson or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's a cool name. So they wrote this article over at thestockdork.com, which is a new source for our news aggregation. We only get a little bit of what this article is in our aggregator, but when you click the link, you get sent over here. You can talk about it here on the stream, or you can talk about it over on YouTube comments, and you can always, and this is what I encourage everybody to do, when you find an article that you like, you click on that visit the source, because you're not getting the full story from ohmTown, just a little snippet, and then you're over here and you can suss out some more of this information. I knew what this was all about because, again, I consume a lot of news, and so I already knew that it was about skiplagging. And if you don't know what skiplagging is, it's basically saying that you're going to take a round trip flight or a longer flight and you don't go that second leg. It's frowned upon by the organizations, yet they overbook and then bump you. So my argument is, kiss my ass. You're doing the same thing I'm trying to save money because you're forcing me to take a trip longer. And if I actually only route from point A to point B, you charge me more than if I go through B to C. Yeah, kiss my ass.
Yeah, even though that's a leg in the longer journey, which makes no sense.
Exactly. So why aren't
I
you
mean,
all being punished when you overbook and bump me from my flight? No. If I want, you know what? I had a headache. I didn't want to get on the flight. I'm going to stay in Chicago for a week and then take my leg back on the return trip. You want to overbook, then overbook. And then they fill that seat because I didn't sit in it in time. That's your prerogative. So why isn't it my prerogative to skip lag?
well, and it kind of reminds me of like if you buy an extra ticket somewhere, maybe it's a concert or a movie or whatever,
Right. They
and you don't
reserve the
use it,
right.
they still sold it. Like
Right.
you still have it, even
Right.
if it's not going to use.
Right.
Um, I don't know.
So what's interesting about that is I've actually done that. I know that people are going to frown upon me doing something like that, but well, let's just say, it's not really an anxiety thing, it's a comfort thing. And so I've actually bought the seats on either side um, to, but going through, I tell the person, hey, I'm reserving this seat. And they're like, okay. And they scan that extra ticket. It was purchased. I'm a large guy, so I'm going to be sitting in both of those seats. My drink needs a seat. Anyway, Hunter Parsons, the father of the 17-year-old that's being banned for 3 years, revealed that his son was stopped at a gate agent or by a gate agent before boarding a flight from Gainesville, Florida to New York City due to suspicions of skiplagging. Skiplagging involves intending to travel only to the connecting city rather than the final destination stated on the boarding pass in an effort to save money. The teenager's ticket was canceled and was subsequently banned from flying with American Airlines for 3 years.
But we don't even think he was doing skip lagging. I mean, that's a separate discussion as to whether that's okay, but they suspected him of skip lagging.
Right. So let's see here. Family's use of skip lagged. What? The teen's father confirmed that their family has been using a website called Skiplagged for several years to find hidden city ticketing trips, okay, to save money on flights. However, he emphasized that if his son had succeeded, it would have been their first instance of actually skipping the final leg of a flight. The revoked ticket cost $150 and the family had to purchase a $400 direct flight. See? This is what I'm talking about. I mean, it's such a scumbag thing to do where you can overbook. I should say the airline can overbook and bump you, yet you can't take advantage of something as simple as not following the second leg of a flight. Why can't I have that prerogative? Fill it with somebody else. So, American Airlines stated that the customer was questioned only at the ticket counter regarding their travel plans during the check-in process. The airline reiterated its policy prohibiting the purchase of tickets without the intention of flying all flights to obtain lower fares.
Don't you wonder why this person was targeted?
Yeah.
Because I really doubt they questioned every single passenger on the flight.
And that's the weird thing about this. The teen's father confirmed that their family had been using a website called Skiplagged.
Wonder if they purchased a ticket somehow through that and it was flagged by the airline. I don't know anything about that website.
That's so weird, right? They just happened to pull the one teenager out of
I
the
know,
woods?
that's what doesn't make sense. Like, I think there's more to the story here.
Huh. It's like they knew that person's name was tied to a Skiplagged account. Interesting, right? Because how
Hmm.
many? There have to be thousands
Oh,
upon
you
thousands.
can book direct on that website.
Um, they said the quiet part out loud. But I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I mean, this should be just as uh,
Well,
viable as the double overbooking that they do
well,
and
and if
bumping people.
airlines would come out with more reasonable pricing, which we know no pricing ever goes down, but
Yeah.
if it costs you $400 to go from, I don't know, New York to Maine or something, I mean, there's something wrong.
Yeah, but then it's cheaper. So it costs you $500 to go from Florida to New York, but your destination is North Carolina. So when you make a flight where it goes from Florida to North Carolina to New York and you stop at North Carolina and it's $250 for the entirety of that flight all the way to New York, there's something wrong with that dynamic.
Well, right. I think the pricing is all out of whack. And if the pricing wasn't like that, then people wouldn't be doing these crazy machinations to try
Right.
to save some money.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I don't know. But they're the ones that make the rules, and what's good for them isn't good for you. You're not allowed to save money, but they can screw you at the drive through. Let's keep going. You doing okay, AI?
I'm doing great.
All right.
I won't
So,
be skip lagging anytime soon.
yeah. And not like we have a choice, right? If we want to go from point A to point B, it always ends up going through C and D, even though we're actually just trying to get to B.
Even though
Because,
it's making the trip a lot longer.
yeah, I want to go to Chicago from New York and I have to fly through San Diego. Um, so the next article is over in the Marvel channel. Musical Beats keeps cows inside grazing zone of ancient woodland. So, I had to take a look at this because I wanted to know the context of it. The aggregator didn't grab anything from the source because it wasn't provided by the source. So all it has is the title. Emma Gatton over at telegraph.co.uk put the article together. A herd is fitted with mini loudspeakers around their necks. They look like little cowbells, but and you know what? I have a fever, and the
The only
only
prescription is more
is
cowbell.
more cowbell. Yeah. Anyway, so it's a mini loudspeaker around their necks that will help restore Iron Age hill fort in Shropshire, which is the second time Shropshire has been mentioned in today's show, without need for unsightly fences. Now, I was cool with all of this until there's a line later on in this article that triggered me a little bit, but I understand maybe it isn't really an offensive use of it. Anyway, what ends up happening is the GPS tracked perimeter is reached by these cows here, a tone is made, and these cows have been conditioned to stop and turn around when they hear the tone. But they also have let me find the right phrase. What do they use? The cows have been trained
Electrical
to
pulse.
avoid the noise by electrical pulses, which are also triggered if the cow wanders too far over the invisible fence. But the device itself, so it has a little bit of a shock collar on it, on the cow, and it also has a solar powered collar that plays musical trill sounds as the cows approach the virtual fence. So they turn around before they get to the fence. But it also has an electrical pulse that it sends. So that's what pissed me off about this. But
Yeah, I didn't know that from the headline. I thought this was something like they liked or didn't like the music or whatever, and so it was keeping them in a certain area.
Yeah, I was fine up until that line, but it is what it is, and I'm not for that last part. If they were to condition the cows so that when they hear the music they turn around, that's awesome. But hey, you know what? There's some YouTubers out there that will gladly grab a harp and go sit out in the middle of the woods here and play the harp, and the cows will just come and start grazing and hanging out and paying attention to the uh,
That's right. It's
what
pretty
is a
incredible.
harp player called? It's a harpist.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if there was a more clinical term for it, a higher minded word for a person that plays a harp. I can give them a phrase more talented than me. That right there is a really good title for anybody that can play a harp.
Oh, there's
Somehow,
also a harper.
oh, a harper. Okay, yeah. If I were to play a harp and left to my own devices, my arms would be tangled up inside the strings, and somebody would have to call 911 or
Well, and I don't
999.
think the animals would be gathering peacefully if I was playing.
Oh yeah, they'd be charging. I've never heard a cow yell no. But it. I thought they were saying moo, but they were saying no. Let's keep going. So the next article is over in the Warcrafters channel, and this is about Starfield Early Access, how it works, and when you can play. So Starfield is supposed to launch on September 6th. About a week prior, you're supposed to be able to get access to it if you did pre-order. But if every day without Bethesda's latest ambitious adventure feels like an eternity, you can play it up to 5 eternities sooner with early access. Joining an increasing number of big game releases in recent times, like Diablo 4, which kind of went for Season 1, at least in my regard. That was a technical term, by the way. Anyway,
I thought
Bethesda
it was
has
a new
opted.
version of ASMR.
That's right. Bethesda has opted to let you jump the starting laser pistol if you pre-order one of the more expensive available editions. Here's everything you need to know about Starfield Early Access and when you can play. So it's over at PCGamer.com, and Len Hafer is the author. The deck statement is, with 1,000 planets to explore, it can't hurt to get a head start. You only have 100 that actually have anything on them. I'm kind of bummed about that. I hope they expand it. It's supposed to be mod friendly, but every time I've used something that's Bethesda with mods, it creates a black hole and sucks the game into literally oblivion. Anyway, Starfield officially launches on September 6th. Follow the link. Let me make sure that I need to back up a little bit and throw all of these links into the chat so that they're part of the VOD, because Mayor Wyatt does not know how to make this any easier yet. Other than if you type !vote, it'll give you a link to all of the articles that we talk about. Well, so how early is early access? 5 days. How do you get access? You have to pay for a collector premium edition. To get early access to Starfield, you need to purchase the premium edition, physical or digital, or the Constellation edition, which is a physical only collector's box. The former is $100 and comes with one story expansion, a skin pack, and digital copies of the art book and soundtrack. The latter will run you $300 and comes with all of that, plus a bunch of physical goodies and a cool box, from what I understand. The $70 standard edition does not come with early access, nor does the version you play for no additional charge with your Game Pass subscription. So, I too will probably not be doing early access. I don't remember what I purchased. I might have intentionally blacked it out so that I have no accountability when I'm questioned as to how much I paid. But that's okay. It's on the ohmTown dime, right? I mean, I'm the mayor.
Well, that's right. I mean, it must be tax deductible.
God, no, none of that is. I don't think it. Never mind. So pretty cool. I'm waiting for this. I'm really chomping at the bit since Diablo 4 didn't really meet my level, my desired hype. But I've been waiting for Starfield since it was announced because I was hopeful that it was going to be my forever game. But I said the same thing about No Man's Sky when it was released and subsequent attempts to play it, but it's a little too cartoony for me. And not enough story for me. I hope that there's one for Starfield and that modders expand it and make it at least limited co-op, all kinds of stuff I have ambitions for. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens. September 6th can't get here soon enough. So let's keep on.
Are you counting down? Do you have a calendar for Starfield?
Yeah, we're like 47 days away. The next article is kind of a snapshot of how we paint ourselves into a corner when we don't have enough competition. Tornado damage in North Carolina Pfizer plant could worsen drug shortages. A tornado that damaged the Pfizer manufacturing facility in North Carolina is sparking concern about worsening drug shortages in the U.S. As hospitals don't get the supplies they need because what has been formerly produced overseas is not as available anymore, and domestically supplies are concentrated in only a few mega corporations, and they are being impacted by various either natural disasters or supply chain shortages for their raw materials. Well, everybody is basically down to let's hope that nothing impacts the supply chain. Well, now you've got dock workers that are on the verge of striking. You've got UPS on the verge of striking. You've got foreign and other domestic shortages for raw materials because the cost of those other raw materials that feed into the pre-processed materials here in the States are falling short. All kinds of nightmare. It just sounds like we don't have. I'm sorry?
Armageddon?
Yeah, I mean it sounds like a perfect storm of not enough competition leading to the what do you want to call it? Creating a diaspora of resources. The only place you can get some of these medications is from Pfizer because they've gobbled up all of the other companies that would have been producing it. And so you're stuck when their one manufacturing plant in one part of the country goes down, you lose 75% of the total supply. Pfizer
right,
said
and we've talked about that, like with infant formula, for example.
Yep.
But you're right.
And right now there are shortages for certain diabetic medications, cancer treatment medications, all kinds of stuff. Pfizer said its facility in Rocky Mount, North Carolina makes nearly 25% of the company's sterile injectable medicines used in U.S. hospitals. It sustained serious damage Wednesday by an EF3 tornado, according to the National Weather Service. Let's
hope they just shipped out a bunch of
wow,
pharmaceuticals.
That's wow. Okay, sorry. That the wows are born from the fact that we're looking at a picture of a building that was basically flattened by a tornado, along with all of the trucks and whatnot around it. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Nathaniel Wexel is the author of this over at thehill.com. Yeah. And when it says nearly 25% of the company's sterile injectable medications or medicines in U.S. hospitals, how many U.S. hospitals only lean on Pfizer to get those, right?
Well, that's a great point, especially if you're in a small area and you don't have other facilities that you can get supplies from. Like maybe you're the only hospital in a city. If your entire supply is from Pfizer or from this plant, it gets way worse than the 25% statistic.
Yeah, and then when you go to a secondary, a fall on or a failover resource, they charge you a premium because they know that something kept you from getting it from the regular supply chain, and you have no loyalty to them, which is kind of a really disgusting way of doing business, but that's the way that business treats businesses. Instead of seeing this as a human-centric solution, they go, well, Pfizer's down, so we have, perceived increased value and increased demand on our supply, so naturally we can jack the price up. I'm not saying that that's what's happening because I don't know what a particular hospital's knock-on price is, because they have to go somewhere else because Pfizer's offline. But let's see if the article says anything about that. It says there's already 300 drugs that were in shortage before today, and many of those were sterile injectable drugs, and like the ones manufactured at this facility. So we are already in a state of crisis with drug shortages, and this obviously has the potential to contribute to that. But until the company details the extent of the damage and which drugs were affected, the specifics of any potential shortages aren't clear. So we don't know, and they don't really talk about anything else. It's distinctly focused on Pfizer and the fact that they are a big supplier of these sterile injectable drugs. Says part of the issue, Krause said, is that there are only 2 or 3 manufacturers that make sterile injectable drugs because there isn't a huge financial incentive for companies to enter the market. Why wouldn't there be? What? I don't understand that statement.
Well, because they can't get into the market immediately. It would take them years because of the FDA requirements.
See, but they say here, yeah, okay, that last statement is probably true, right? We do not have enough manufacturing capacity for these products, particularly sterile injectable drugs, and we don't have a diversified manufacturing capacity for them, he said. The fact that so much of these drugs are coming from one facility is a problem in and of itself because there's no redundancy when something goes wrong. Huh. Wow, it's almost like I could be, who is this person? Krause? Is that we're all Tom Krause, Vice President of Government Relations at the American Society of Health System Pharmacists? Yeah, I guess I could do that job. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I think about this stuff and then I talk about it and it just goes off into the ether. Even when I'm talking to large groups, because it hasn't impacted them yet. But I've had people come back and say, you said this 10 years ago, and now the fit is hitting the shan right next to me. And I wish I would have paid attention. This consolidation, again, see, 2 or 3 manufacturers make these drugs. If we're in a shortage already, how can a company not feel like they can enter that market? Because there's obviously a shortage.
In the long term, yes, but the problem is with some of these, there are short-term shortages. By the time they could ever enter the market, the market's going to be entirely different. But that doesn't mean we don't need to diversify the sources. We absolutely do.
Yeah, the federal government should have a vested interest in diversifying this and preventing something like this from taking place. Let's keep going, because I think I need some rest, which this will make me happy. This is in the Smack Talk channel because it has to do with Apple. Pokemon Sleep Game and Sleep Tracker now available on the App Store for iPhone. The Pokemon Company announced earlier this year its new app called Pokemon Sleep, which combines a sleep monitor with a game that lets users keep an eye on their sleep cycle and turn the collected data into a fun game. Today, the app has officially launched on the App Store for iPhone, so they break down what you can do with the app over at 9to5Mac. Before I go there, though, I want to throw the last article into chat. I am doing horrible today with this. You know, I would have it timed so that it would just plop it out there into the chat, but it would be off by quite a bit. But maybe I should do that anyway. Anyway, this article is over at 9to5mac.com. Felipe Esposito is the author of this. And so Pokemon Sleep combines a sleep monitor with a game. I'm not really into Pokemon, but anything that gamifies sleep and like embracing it and sleep habits and tracking and all of that, then I love gathering telemetry about that kind of stuff. And I don't have anything that monitors sleep. And I have really poor sleep habits. Like I'm up until 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I wake up at 5 and then maybe float back to sleep and then get up at 6. But usually, 3 hours of sleep maybe a night. Well, Pokemon Sleep and its sleep monitor might be able to help me out. Players can choose from 100 characters to represent their sleep state. There's a sleep score based on how much the user has slept to motivate players to sleep well, which is really interesting. Pokemon Sleep will unlock new characters as users achieve a higher score, so the amount of sleep you get determines how many Pokemon you'll collect each time you wake up. In the world of Pokemon Sleep, this is a quote, in the world of Pokemon Sleep, Pokemon with the same sleep type as you will gather around you as you catch some Z's. So discover all the various sleep styles that Pokemon can have you as you aim to complete your sleep style dex, kind of like the Pokedex. Says the app description. Players will join Professor Neroli, who studies Pokemon sleep styles, and Snorlax to research how different species of Pokemon sleep. Seems like fun. Pokemon Go Plus. Users can purchase a Pokemon Go Plus device to track their sleep without a phone nearby. The device will collect data, sync it via Bluetooth by using Pokemon Go Plus. And it really is plus. It has the word plus and then the symbol for the plus sign right next to it. All right. You can unlock exclusive characters in Pokemon Sleep and even Pokemon Go. If you're still playing Pokemon Go, then you'll probably want to do something like this. It's pretty cool. Seems like fun. I might actually do that simply because if you don't have your phone nearby, there's no way for you to track, and my phone isn't like laying on my bed or in a way that could track me. And you can't really sleep with your Apple Watch on because the battery will die the next morning. So a device that has long-term life in it and can sync would be perfect. Anyway, $50 for 6 months of tracking within the Pokemon Sleep with that plus premium pass kind of thing going. I don't know, seems like fun. I'll be checking it out after the stream today to see what it's all about, because I love telemetry. You know, you don't even need it, but blood pressure monitor gives you telemetry. Apple Watch gives you telemetry about heart rate and other atmospheric and exercise data, and it tracks it long term. I've got a treadmill that's under my desk, and I'm using that while I'm streaming. Like right now, I'm actually doing the treadmill, and it's sending telemetry to my phone. all kinds of stuff. So what's out there is really neat, and it motivates you to stay as healthy as you can be, or counter it. So like you work really hard at staying healthy, but then you eat a whole bunch of junk food so that everything is in balance. Like Thanos said, everything should be. No.
I'm not sure that's the point of the exercise to junk food.
So you're an AI. Would you do this? If you had a...
I think it sounds fun. I mean, people have problems sleeping. What I wonder is whether it interferes with your sleep, but I suppose it doesn't. And I think it would be good if it's kind of extra incentive to get some sleep, because we all know everybody's sleep deprived.
Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, you get really motivated. You're competitive. Let's say you're a competitive person, and your objective is to exploit that competitive drive by trying to excel in sleep. Somebody
It's
out there.
quite brilliant. It could have some positive habits. I mean, even Pokemon Go had a lot of positive impact. People were out exercising that weren't necessarily doing that before,
Yep.
as long as they were paying attention to where they were walking. But
fall into fountains and stuff.
right.
I'm
But
gonna
I think
go.
this could be really good if it does what it says it does.
Yeah. It might. Just imagine the psychological impact. You're like, I want to do really good in this, so I'm gonna sleep like a freaking log. Well, after the show, I'm going to go put myself into a coma after I download this app so that I win the game. Got to collect all the Z's. No?
I'm already asleep.
Yeah. All right,
I'm trying
folks.
to collect them.
Collect all the Z's. Okay, so that's the end of the show tonight, folks. Look at that. We actually ended a lot earlier than normal. But I always bring us back to the welcome sign of ohmTown Main Street. We click that little logo and everything refreshes. You're going to go out and buy an RTX 4060 Ti. Some people say Ti, but even NVIDIA has referred to it as Ti for titanium. Anyway.
No, a little too pricey.
Yeah, I don't know what the price is anymore. It actually
I don't think it's dropped.
It tests slower than the 8 gig version. That's not good. Nothing says positive marketing like the newer version being weaker than the older version, lower version. Dune 2 eyes pushed to 2024. That's killing me, man. There was a huge explosion in Johannesburg today. Yeah, quite a few people were hurt. And I actually saw the video of it. And Dunkstar is in South Africa. One of the streamers that are part of the community here in ohmTown, and streams later tonight over on Twitch at Dunkstar. Well, you have to go to twitch.tv/Dunkstar, DUNCSTAR. And I hope everything is okay there. I haven't heard from them since I made a comment in their Discord. So go over there and check on them later. Let's see. And the reason why I say that is because there was an explosion in Phoenix as well. So it was a gas line that blew up in the main, like in a street, and all of these cars, they were identical vehicles. It was wild. All of these same, it was like a glitch in the Matrix. There were like 50 of these same exact cars, like taxis, just bounced off the road. Pretty wild. So I don't know. I know it, well, it's probably in here as well. I may have actually seen, yeah, right there. That was it's a pretty wild video. So, but we don't need to talk about it tonight. Let's see. There's all kinds of news, folks, but we will filter through the next 24 hours and talk about it. Car thefts skyrocketed in the first half of 2023.
I wonder if that was all the Hyundai and Kia TikTok stuff.
Oh, yeah. That might have been the trailing end of it. It needs to stop. Because I think they started doing updates, but these older cars still don't have any physical lockout. Yeah. Got a lot of news, folks. Go and check it out over at ohmTown.com. That said, we are all done for the night. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. And up there is the AI from on high that keeps me in check. You want to say good night?
Good night, hometown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern.
True story. See you later. And I'll be streaming Tectonica tomorrow for, well, however long as possible. Maybe starting at 10. Hate to promise, but okay. Keep in touch, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Did you just wave?